Welcome to my Biden versus DeSantis summer predictions. So let's start. For the safe states for Ron DeSantis, and yes, I do think he will win his home state of Florida by a solid safe margin. I'm guessing 12%. I doubt he does as well as he did in his re-election bid in 2022, but he still wins there by a safe margin of 12%. While for Texas, another Sunbelt state, I think he does better than Trump in most of these Sunbelt states. In Texas, Trump really did poorly in 2016, 2020, and the main question is if DeSantis is able to do better than Trump 2016, and I'm not too sure because he does lack charisma and that's gonna be a problem for him, but still, he wins here by a likely margin. I'm guessing like 79%, and that is a similar margin to Iowa. I think Iowa doesn't matter that much whether it's Trump or DeSantis. It has a decent chance of trending to the right, mostly because of how it's getting more difficult for Democrats to even get close to winning in this state. I think both Trump and DeSantis could fit this state for many reasons. But in 2024, I don't think it's gonna be a safe R state unless there's a recession or something like that. So I'm gonna say it's gonna be a likely R state by 7 to 9%, basically a repeat of 2020. And yeah. And now for Alaska. Alaska is quite interesting. This is another state that is quite establishmentarian in some ways, that is the opposite of what Trump is in the Republican Party, which is why states like Texas, Arizona, Alaska trended to the left in 2020, perhaps because of that. And yeah, I mean, you could even argue this could be a safe state for DeSantis, although I'm not too sure how things will go. The issue for DeSantis is he's going too far to the right of Trump, and that's gonna hurt him with the independents, and that is why I'm gonna have this as like likely R by the same margin, 7 to 9%. Although if we see ranked choice voting pass or something like that, we could see maybe it get closer, but still it would be a likely R victory for DeSantis here. And now for the Biden states, for New Jersey. New Jersey, with DeSantis, a high Italian population in states like New Jersey, will be enough for this state to go into the likely category, because the other ones are just quite safe Democrat. And yeah, it'll be something like 11%, just barely a likely state for the Democrats, but still a victory for them. While for New Mexico, so we saw in 2022 how DeSantis did very well with the Hispanic population. The issue is that the Hispanic population is quite Cuban, Puerto Rican, quite anti-socialist in Florida, which is not the same in states like New Mexico or Arizona or Nevada. So I'm gonna be very intrigued to see if DeSantis is the nominee. If DeSantis is the nominee, I'm gonna be very intrigued to see how he does with Mexican American voter for sure. I don't think he does well enough to make this state into a lean D victory for Biden, but still, I'm gonna say likely D margin by 8 to 10. Although, sorry about that. Let me fix that up right away. There we go. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm gonna say 8 to 10% here, and a victory for Biden, of course. And now for Minnesota. So I'm getting more bullish on the fact that I think he's gonna do very poorly in the Rust Belt. The main issue for DeSantis is that he talks too much about woke. He should focus on other issues, but he just mentions woke too much, and I cannot see a way that does that helps him in the Rust Belt, and that is one of the reasons why I do have Minnesota going for Biden by a decent margin of 7 to 9%. Yeah, I'm gonna trend on my Rust Belt predictions to the left for sure. So yeah, 7 to 9% victory for Biden in Minnesota. And now for a more of a southern state, for Virginia, I still think he's gonna do well in the south for sure. DeSantis will likely do better than Trump in Virginia, because Virginia and Colorado are one of the states that really trended to the left ever since Trumpism. And yeah, I don't think it's gonna be safe D for Biden against DeSantis unless DeSantis has a horrible campaign trail. And I think it's going to be the same margin as Minnesota, so 7 to 9% for the Florida governor. And back to kind of the Rust Belt, let's go to the 2nd District of Nebraska. So for the 2nd District of Nebraska, I think DeSantis going too far to the right was a mistake by him. He shouldn't be trying to outflank Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is taking advantage of this by making himself look more of like a moderate. And that's just gonna hurt DeSantis if he's the nominee. So especially in the suburbs, and a lot of the working class voters are just not gonna turn out for DeSantis if he only talks about woke. And yes, so I have Biden winning the 2nd District by a margin of 5 to 7%. Could be a repeat of 2020, so we will see. Oh wait, I almost forgot. So for New Hampshire, almost forgot about New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, it's one of those states that back in 2016 almost went to Trump. It was so close, but it didn't. And then 2020 swings to the left by a decent amount of points. And I think DeSantis, I don't know how he does in the Northeast. That's one of the areas that is quite hard to predict. I feel like I don't know. I'm gonna say that Biden still wins here by a likely margin, although it wouldn't surprise me if for some reason it's closer than expected. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be a Biden win here by 5 to 7%. So yeah, still a victory for the Democrats here. And now for Michigan. So in Michigan, this is one of the states that I don't know what DeSantis is going to do to appeal to working class voters and appeal to Trump 2016 voters, because he talks too much about culture war stuff, and that's only gonna rally the base and not rally the moderates and independents to you. And until I see a reason for him to have a chance in the Rust Belt, I'm gonna have to put this state as a likely deemed victory for President Biden. Democrats have done well in this state recently, and it wouldn't surprise me if it goes into the likely category, especially against someone that is very weak in the Rust Belt like DeSantis. Oh wait, I forgot about Ohio for a second. So Ohio will still go for Governor DeSantis. The issue is I don't see him doing as well as Trump 2020 and even Trump 2016, of course. So I think he underperforms both Trump election results, and I'm gonna guess he still wins by a likely margin, although it's something like 5 to 7%, so a drop off from 2020 and 2016. Maybe he even drops off to a lean margin, which would be kind of embarrassing for him. But as you heard, for the reasons in Michigan, Minnesota, lean R Ohio could in fact happen if DeSantis does very poorly in the campaign trail, but it's still a victory for him in Ohio, of course. And that's it for the likely states for both candidates, and let's go to the lean margins. So as you can see, I do have Maine at large as a safe margin, because I don't think he's able to appeal to the Trump base here and appeal to independents in the Northeast, I'm guessing. And the 2nd District of Maine, I do think it will still go for DeSantis, but only by a lean margin in 2024. I think he underperforms Trump 2016 and Trump 2020, but he still wins here by 3 to 5%. And yeah, let's go to the next lean state, and that state is North Carolina. So North Carolina is another southern state, so I do see DeSantis carrying this state in 2024. I think he does better than Trump 2020, because the Sun Belt is one of Trump's biggest problems, and he could even outperform Trump 2016. I'm not sure how he does with independent voters in this state, but because of his base and the religious right, I think would like the culture war stuff for sure. And yeah, he may even win here by a likely margin, although I'm gonna say it's gonna be a victory for him by 2 to 4% in North Carolina, so not a flip in this matchup. And yeah, let's move on to other states. So let's go to Pennsylvania, which is the second home state of President Biden, essentially. Pennsylvania, that's just gonna be another state that I'm not too sure about because of the high talent American population on the eastern part, so perhaps we could see some very interesting outcomes here, although I don't see him doing enough in Pennsylvania to the point that DeSantis is able to flip the state. I think Biden will basically make Pennsylvania his home state because, I mean, that worked in 2020 and that maybe even handed him the victory in the state. I'm not too sure about the margin of victory for Biden here, but still, I think he does better than 2020 by some margin. I just don't know by how much. But I'm gonna say President Biden wins here by 1 to 3% in 2024. So yeah, and now for Wisconsin, this map also matters in a lot of factors. For example, if there's a recession, then it could be even closer, even go for DeSantis. But it's looking like the economy is gonna do like a soft landing. And for Wisconsin, it's always been close. Really, the only time it wasn't close was during the Obama era in 2008 and 2012. But after that and before that, and in 2000 and 2004, by the way, then Bill Clinton, yeah, it was very close. So we could even with DeSantis, maybe. No, I don't think we're gonna see that likely. I mean, who knows? I think President Biden will still win in Wisconsin in 2024. I think there's a lot of factors that could change the outcome, but currently I don't see the Rust Belt being a great place for Governor DeSantis, and President Biden wins here by 1 to 3% in my opinion. And now for a really big change, I think, and for the lean category, I should say, whatever, for Arizona, as we've seen in the campaign trail in the GOP primary, DeSantis is going too far to the right. And that's something that Arizona is not gonna like at all. And I know he's doing this as a way to maybe even get the VP position for Trump or get the nomination, but in the general, it's not gonna help him at all. And I have Biden actually winning Arizona by a lean category. If DeSantis was more charismatic, then yeah, this could very well be a Republican victory, but it's just not happening for DeSantis, really. And now for the two closest states in this election, let's go to Georgia. Georgia is one of the states that is very close to DeSantis and has really had a really tight margin in 2020, and that is why. And the culture war stuff could help him. And you know, one of the good things about DeSantis really is that he's young, so that could really be a decent punch against Biden. And that is why I at least see Georgia flipping 2024 between Biden and DeSantis. And I think Georgia, it would be close for sure, but I think the age gap will help DeSantis in some way in 2024. And yeah, I think he does well enough in the suburbs and probably in the South, perhaps. And I'm not too sure about the Southwest though. And yeah, he flips the state in 2024. And finally, for Nevada, one of the states that I'm really contradicted on, I could see it going for a Republican or for a Democrat. In 2016 and 2020, if we look, 2016, same margin, 2.4. In 2020, same margin, by 2.4%. I think it's gonna move margin in 2024, whether it's to the right or to the left, but I'm guessing DeSantis will get rid of some of the support for Democrats, but because of his lack of charisma and him saying woke so many times to the point that it's meaningless, I think President Biden would barely carry Nevada, and it's 6 electoral votes. So as you can see, President Biden wins re-election with 287 electoral votes, while Governor DeSantis gets 251 electoral votes. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a like, join the channel membership, and see you next time.